Good evening, you're watching the news from the Sultan of Oman television. First, the headlines. Houthi fighters begin withdrawing from the port city of Hodeidah. And Special Economic Zone and Duqm signs 6 infrastructure agreements. Those are the headlines, and now for the news in detail. Yemen's Houthi fighters began today a long-delayed withdrawal of their forces from the key port city of Hodeidah, following the terms of a ceasefire. The UN-brokered agreement is aimed at alleviating the world's worst humanitarian crisis. A ceasefire brokered by the UN in December in Sweden called for the mutual withdrawal of rebel and government forces from Hodeidah and the 2 smaller ports in the province. Hodeidah is the main international entry point for 70% of imports and humanitarian aid to Yemen, where the 4-year civil war has killed an estimated 60,000 people and pushed much of the country to the brink of famine. Eleven members of the UN Security Council are urging fighters in Syria's last rebel-held stronghold in Idlib province to honor last September's ceasefire arrangements. A statement read yesterday expressed great concern at the intensifying hostilities in northwestern Syria. It expressed deep concern of a potential humanitarian catastrophe in the event of a full-scale military operation in Idlib zone. 4 council members, Russia, China, South Africa and Indonesia, did not join in supporting the statement. The 11 countries condemned the loss of innocent civilian lives and expressed alarm at the displacement of over 150,000 persons, as well as the targeting of population centres and civilian infrastructure, including hospitals and schools. UN-linked aid groups have suspended activities in parts of violence-plagued northwest Syria. The UN Office for the Coordination of Humanitarian Affairs, or OCHA, said that as of the 8th of May, at least 16 humanitarian partners had suspended their operations in areas impacted by the conflict. OCHA said that the uptick in airstrikes and shelling on the region dominated by Syria's former al-Qaeda affiliate has displaced 180,000 people between the 29th of April and 9th of May, affecting 15 health facilities and 16 schools. It added that some organizations suspended activities as their premises were damaged, destroyed, or rendered unsafe by the violence. UN environmental officials have said nearly every country in the world has agreed upon a legally binding framework to reduce the population and the pollution from plastic waste, except for the United States. An agreement on tracking thousands of types of plastic waste emerged at the end of a 2-week meeting of UN-backed conventions on plastic waste and toxic hazardous chemicals. Discarded plastic clutters pristine land, floats in huge masses in oceans and rivers, and entangles wildlife, sometimes with deadly results. The deal affects products used in a broad array of industries such as healthcare, technology, aerospace, fashion, food, and beverages. Still to come on a news bulletin. In order to instill the culture of voluntary work, Omani Women's Association in the Wilaya of Daba organizes Voluntary Team Forum. Welcome back to the news from the Sultan of Oman television. The Special Economic Zone Authority has signed 6 agreements on the infrastructure field of the Duqm Economic Zone. The agreements relates to levelling land of the logistic area affiliated to Duqm Port and internal roads in the Rock Garden in Duqm, as well as the second package of Said bin Taimur dual carriageway road project and the road linking Duqm Airport and Ras Markaz. The agreements also included designing and establishing additional stations for wastewater treatment in Duqm, in addition to the operation and maintenance of pole lights in Duqm. The agreement was signed by His Excellency Yahya bin Said Al Jabri, Chairman of the Special Economic Zone Authority in Duqm. The total deposits in the traditional banks increased by 2.8%, amounting to 19.4 billion Omani Rials by the end of February this year. The report issued by the Central Bank of Oman stated that the credit granted to the private sector witnessed a growth by 2.1%, reaching 18.9 billion Omani Riyals by the end of February this year. The government deposits also witnessed an increase 11.9% and amounting to 5.5 billion Omani Riyals during the same period. The report also showed that the public sector deposits witnessed a growth by 16.6% and reached 1.1 billion Omani Riyals. Omani Women's Association in the Walaya of Daba and the Governorate of Musandam organized Voluntary Team Forum. The forum aims to consolidate efforts of voluntary teams in the Governorate and highlight their humanitarian and national contributions in the different fields of volunteering. The voluntary work is very important to strengthen values of cooperation in the society. The forum acquainted the participants with the voluntary work and its importance in the development of society. Such forums are very important to exchange expertise and practice aimed voluntary teams and attract more volunteers to these teams. Here are the Ramadan times for tomorrow. Fajr prayer at 4:05 a.m. and Maghrib prayers at 6:45 p.m. This is the Sultan of Oman television. Before we end tonight's bulletin, here are the main points once again. Houthi fighters begin withdrawing from the port city of Hudaydah. And Special Economic Zone in Duqm signs 6 infrastructure agreements. With that, we come to the end of tonight's news bulletin. From all of us here at the newsroom and the studio, it's good night.